I created a series of comic strip adventures which I produced from Monday the 21st of April 1969, when I was 13 years old, until Monday the 10th of June 1974. In 1969, I created David's Three Wishes as one of my larger-than-life adventure series. The main character, David Green, was originally a 9 or 10-year-old boy with blonde hair, wearing an orange top with black circles design and white trousers, thus making it simple to draw. I asked myself if, given 3 wishes, what would I choose? 1. Teddy bear. When I was very young, my parents took me to visit some of their friends. I was given a teddy bear, no longer wanted by their daughter, and so I considered this soft toy as my trusted friend. My parents took me and my brother on holiday, where they paid for us to take it in turns sitting with an enormous teddy bear for a photograph. I thought this was fantastic. Unfortunately, my brother, Derek, younger than me, was terrified and refused to sit next to it. I still have the photograph. 2. Flying saucer. I thought it would be nice to have one's own flying saucer to travel anywhere, and being alien, it would of course be practically indestructible. In the comic strip adventures which I drew, the flying saucer was originally depicted as a glowing object, but later I changed it to dark green, which had become my favourite colour. The flying saucer would have 5 portholes and a folding ramp hatch entrance at the rear. 3. Magic book. Before computers were invented, it occurred to me that a magic book would be a powerful and useful information device. This again would be indestructible and also have the power, when necessary, to be able to rematerialize elsewhere. My drawing skills started to improve when I was 15 or 16 years old. However, wanting to move on from merely creating comic strip adventures, I became interested in producing fiction movie films. So, I bought a UMIG Super 8 camera, projector, screen and splicer. My first animated film in 1973 was Tommy in a Crazy World, which was another comic strip character I invented. The animation and story in this test was inspired by Monty Python style drawings being moved around. Later that year, I decided to produce a serious animated cartoon film, combining 2 episodes of David's Three Wishes. A 10-year-old friend of the family, Jan Strigiel, provided the voice of David Green. I persuaded work colleagues at British Gas, as it later became known, to voice other characters. Amongst these were my boss, Claude Jessup, who voiced Teddy. Les Sunter voiced David's father. Bernard Spencer voiced the RAF squadron leader. Vaughan Lister could mimic several accents, so he voiced the Air Marshal and several other RAF characters. I shot the stop-motion animated cartoon on Super 8 sound film rather than using silent film stock, which would have required sound stripe added later. The visuals were biros, felt tip pens, and using a tiny pair of scissors to cut out the drawings. Unfortunately, I knew little or nothing about focusing the image, so most of it came out softer than I would have preferred. By this time, I found I could compose music and songs, so I composed original music which I performed on a Stylophone 350S. The final film had a duration of around 12 minutes and was completed in 1974. Eager to produce a sequel, I spent 10 years creating David's Three Wishes paradox. It was a complete replica of my comic strip story of the same name. Many of the voice artists, as per David's Three Wishes, returned to resume their original roles. I filmed and edited David's Three Wishes paradox on Super 8 sound film once again. This time I used paints rather than simply pens to attempt a smoother appearance, and I bought more powerful photocrescenter lamps with a close-up lens to ensure a good focus. Unfortunately, I had problems with the Shinnon movie cameras as the shutters would jam, causing overexposed flash frames. By the time the film was near completion, I purchased a Canon Super 8 movie camera. I orchestrated the theme, which I played on a MIDI keyboard. The film, lasting around 25 minutes, was completed in 1984. After this, I decided to film live action with practical effects in future. In 2010, I persuaded my youngest son, William, 10 years old at the time, with blonde hair, to play David Green in a live action version of David's Three Wishes. By this time, I had stopped shooting on cinefilm, preferring high definition 1080 video instead. Other actors, including myself as David's father, originally voiced by Leslie Sunter, adapted original roles and additional roles for this extended remake. Having decided to set the film in 1974, which was the same as my original animated film, I built props to use in partial environments, such as a desk for the school classroom sequence and the flying saucer console. I purchased and modified several RAF uniforms and props, including an RAF helmet and vintage phones of the 1970s era. I asked Harry Nichols to be the voice of Teddy. Having used Harry's acting talents previously, I knew he could command a deep voice. One day he was dressed as an Edwardian gentleman ready to perform in a Walthamstow production. Someone noted that he resembled Winston Churchill. So Harry immediately quoted Churchill's "Never have so many owed so much to so few" speech, and I was immediately sold on the notion that Teddy should have that spirit of Winston Churchill inside him. Having moved on to capture in 2160 UHD, I shot the RAF sequences of Air Marshal Lister and Squadron Leader Spencer, which would later be downgraded to high definition and matched into the remainder of the edit. I created computer animated environments in Lightwave 3D, which I enhanced and improved in Adobe After Effects. I performed reorchestrated themes using Native Instruments complete software to allow realistic instrument sounds, which I edited in Ableton. Having produced other short projects on video, including The Spider, Appointment in Walthamstow, and Return from Walthamstow, I completed David's Three Wishes on Sunday the 1st of January 2023. Producing the flying saucer, I was required to build the main console as a solid prop, with the remaining flying saucer environment as an effect in Lightwave 3D. Having studied several so-called eyewitness accounts, usually in America, of real alien spaceships and their mechanics, I incorporated this information into the one operated by David Green and Teddy. Wanting to simplify the console buttons as much as possible, I decided to use star signs to represent the source of functions, similar to what I did in my animated cartoon David's Three Wishes Paradox. But this time I wanted to exactly and clearly produce the symbols. I colorised the star signs according to fire, water, air and earth. As a comparison, the flying saucer weaponry is represented by the destructive Aries star sign, whilst the Aquarius star sign depicts the hydrogen power inlets converting water into fuel.